May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts always bring honor to the one we worship. Amen. Y'all will have to forgive me if this feels a little bit awkward, because on our regular Sunday service, the reading from the sacred text comes first. And I was planning on that, having forgotten that this was not our regular Sunday service. I also forgot that I was supposed to do a welcome at the beginning of the service, and I went ahead and wrote that into the sermon, so you'll forgive me if I'm moving the welcome a little bit further along in the service, but I want you to know you are welcome here. You are always welcome here. I give thanks today for the Women in Ministry group that puts this service together every year. It is a marvelous opportunity for us to join together in worship alongside one another. I thank each of the congregations of faith that are represented here, and I'm thankful to those who sojourn on their own without an organized faith community, who have come here in this time and this place to be a part of this service. And I want to thank each of you for being here. And I apologize to my parishioners because I'm going to make y'all do something that I would ordinarily never make you do. And that is, I want you to turn to somebody close by to you and thank them for being here. Now, see, I can get away with that here tonight because most of my congregation is not here. Some of them are, and I'm grateful for that. But they're not used to me telling them to do things and then I'm actually having to do it. I'm glad that you are from congregations that encourage you to do that, either that or you're just scared and you don't mind doing something that the pastor tells you to do. And I wanted you to thank each other because I want us to remember that even if we came here without a faith community to support us, regardless of where we've come from, none of us really do walk this journey on our own. We are always surrounded by others who are walking their own faith journeys, others who rely on us for emotional, physical, and spiritual support, others on whom we rely for our own well-being. And that, for me, is the primary reason that I am here tonight, because I am a part of this community. Even though I have been in Dothan for far less time than many of you, even though I have been here for what might seem like an eternity to some of you who are new to this community, this is my home. It's not the home of my birth. It's not the home of my raising. But this is my home. This is my community. And you are my people. You are my people not because we profess one faith. You are my people not because we share one creed. You are not my people because we call the divine by one name or share one set of sacred writings, but because you are a part of the community in which I live, in which we all live and move and have our being. You are my people because our children or our grandchildren or our friends' children share classrooms and ball fields, libraries and parks. You are my people because the same physicians treat us when we are ill, the same social institutions like the food bank uplift us when we are down. You are my people because we share the roads and streets and lanes of this city, the forests, the rolling hills of the countryside. We even share a peanut festival. You are my people because my life depends on yours, and yours depends on mine. It is that sense of belonging to one another that we seem to be losing in our common discourse. It is that sense of being bound together by our commonalities that seems to be slipping away from us if you believe what you hear on the radio and see on the television. It is that sense of being a part of one big family rooted together in common life, which is fraying with every malicious tweet, every pointless argument on social media, with every discussion between panelists on the television that devolves into a shouting match, neither of whom is winning anything. My sense of being a part of community is rooted in my upbringing. Now, y'all may be wondering, how did a guy named Peter Wong wind up as the rector of the Episcopal Church in Dothan? Well, I'll tell you. I am the son of a Chinese immigrant from British Guiana, South America, and a Yankee woman from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I don't know which of those two is more foreign to you, but I understand that they both are. My mother's family had blue collars. They worked in factories in Philly. My father's family were merchants who worked their way out of indentured servitude to the British Empire, or probably the British East India Trading Company. And my parents left the country shortly after they were married because my father was threatened with deportation. It was the late 60s. He was Asian. Someone accused him of being a communist. So they left and went to Malaysia. And strangely, when they came back to the States, my dad went to work for the Veterans Administration in Muskogee, Oklahoma, which is where I was born. I am not who Merle Haggard was thinking of when he wrote that song. My dad, who was threatened with deportation, came back to work for the government of the country that wanted to throw him out. And so I have a well-developed sense of irony in my life. And when they were faced with transfer from Muskogee, Oklahoma, where my sister and I were born, my mother chose Biloxi, Mississippi, over Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Not because of the reasons that some of you might think, but because if she was going to live as a mixed-race couple in the Deep South, she wanted to at least have good seafood. I began my education in private schools, but I graduated from a public high school, attended a public junior high. I started my collegiate career at public schools and finished those studies at a private school for divinity. I have worked in the meantime in no-collar jobs, in blue-collar jobs, in white-collar jobs. I am stuck now in a permanent white-collar job. All that is to say that over the years, as I have grown and learned, there have always been a host of people who were a part of my life who were not like me. There have always been a diversity of people in my life who have educated me about kindness, about graciousness, about generosity. There have always been people in my life who, in spite of the fact that they were different from me, helped form me into the person I became. In fact, it was their differences that made me the man I am today. As an example, there was a gentleman I knew growing up named Halil Ozerden. I loved Dr. Ozerden. He was a psychiatrist. He came to my church almost every Sunday growing up. He provided my family with free counseling and care when my parents divorced. He was faithful and kind and gracious. And it wasn't until I was in high school that I realized that he was Muslim. He showed up in my world history class to discuss the 5 pillars of Islam. And I was confused, because this man was more faithful in attendance at the Episcopal Church than most of the Episcopalians. If y'all don't know this already, Episcopalians don't have to go every Sunday. But Dr. Ozerden was a man of faith. He was a quiet man of deep, abiding faith and love. He loved his wife and children enough to worship with them in a congregation that did not share his beliefs every week. He loved the other people in that congregation enough to offer care to the children of broken families out of his own pocket. That's the kind of person that abiding faith creates. Halil was one of dozens of people over the years who have shaped my faith. Now, I've had the opportunity to do that with others. When I lived in Pensacola, my wife and I took care of 3 Vietnamese children. Their mother did not trust me. She didn't trust me because I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Asian people are just as racist as the rest of us. And Kim didn't trust me. She told Katie not to date me. She didn't want me picking up her kids. But over the course of years, we developed a friendship and a relationship. And at one point in her life, she decided it was time to tell me that she didn't trust me. And she did. We love those kids. We still love those kids. They're not like us. Dr. Ozerden was not like me. But he was one of dozens of people who were a part of my life that showed me through their difference that I could be more if I knew them and loved them. They have been priests and pastors, lay and ordained, Muslim and Jewish, Buddhist and Hindu and Aboriginal, and even people who are spiritual but not religious. They have all been a part of my life and continue to be a part of the understanding for me of what it means to be a person of faith. And one of the most universal pieces of faith, regardless of where that faith comes from, is gratitude. Gratitude comes from recognizing that there is something greater than ourselves in the world. Gratitude comes from realizing that those persons who come into our lives are gifts from the divine. Gratitude leads us to openness, to welcome, to graciousness and generosity, recognizing that not a one of us is in this by ourselves. We are a community. And I'm grateful that we are. And I hope you are as well. I am thankful to be in this place among friends familiar and friends yet to be discovered. You are my people, and I thank you for that. And just as importantly, those who are not here with us tonight are also my people. Those who resent the very fact that we are gathering here under one roof, people of different faiths, different nations, different languages, they are my people too. And they are your people too. And it can be easy for us in a time of anger to seal ourselves off from the rest of the world. It can be easy to tune out the voices that challenge and stretch us. It can be easy to dismiss the voices that disagree with us. It is absolutely easier in life sometimes to ignore the voices of those who hate us, who view us as less than human because we come from a different place, or have different cultures, or eat different foods, or speak different languages, or worship foreign gods like the Archbishop of Canterbury or the Pope in Rome. It can be easy, but that's not what the life of faith calls us to. The life of faith leads us to gratitude. There's an African proverb that teaches, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. If you want to go far, go together. Because we are all interconnected. We are all a part of the same human family, and more importantly for us gathered here, we are a part of this city, this area, this state, and this nation. For better or for worse, we are stuck with each other. And for better or for worse, we will always need each other. But then again, since you're here tonight, I'm guessing you've already begun to realize that in some sense. I'm guessing that if you are here, you are more interested in building bridges than walls, more interested in kindling friendships than burning down communities, more interested in reaching out in love than retreating into your own echo chamber. So do that when you walk out those doors. When you have a chance tonight, meet someone who isn't like you. We started that in here. But meet someone who isn't like you, form a bond, create a friendship, reach out in love and in gratitude for one another. Thank one another for being here. Thank one another for being on this journey with you, for being a part of this community. Thank them for who they are and how they enrich your life. And don't let that end when the doors close over there and the lights go out and the food is gone. Do it out there. Do it where you work and where you worship. Do it where your kids go to school and where you play. Do it in the streets and in the fields and even at the peanut festival. Do it there. Practice that gratitude. And in doing that, we plant the seeds of peace, of love, of fellowship. And if we remember that, then we help our community remember that. And if our community will remember that, then from that seed, we can grow a harvest that will feed the whole world. Amen.